Hey car guys and gals, welcome to today's video where we are going to look at 5 cars from the past that we would like to see resurrected today. All of these cars are from the past, like no dip, but more importantly, none of them have been in production for at least 20 years. Especially in the case of the third car on this list. Don't get too confused, there was a prototype made of it, but it was not in production. Anyway, sit down, grab a seat, and enjoy today's video. Number 1 on today's list is the Toyota 2000 GT. The Toyota 2000 GT was a sports car made by Toyota from 1967 to 1970, with just 371 cars produced. It is a gorgeous sports car with awesome lines that just make the car look downright sexy. It basically introduced Japan to the sports car market and kicked off what we now see as JDM car culture. It was also the first actual supercar from Japan and proved to the rest of the world that Japan was not here to mess around with their cars. It was compared with cars like the Porsche 911 of the time by Road & Track and was determined to be better. Today, they sell for well over $1 million, and with the revival of many JDM cars, even though some have been poorly executed, Acura Integra, it might be time to bring back the 2000 GT. Toyota recently revived the Supra with the help of BMW, and that turned out well. It was super well received by the car community. If the 2000 GT was done right, I don't see why it wouldn't be any different. There are already many concept drawings by fans of the car, so here are some ideas of what it might look like. I prefer this one, to be honest. I feel like Toyota could go one of two ways with this car. They could either stay true to the car's roots and build a lightweight 2-seat sports car similar to the current MX-5 Miata. But given that Toyota already makes the GT86, which competes directly with the MX-5, I don't think that would be the most likely option. The second option that I could see Toyota doing is making it similar to what Lexus did with the LFA. I know that wasn't a revival of an old car, but instead the birth of a new one, but just hear me out. They could put an awesome sounding V10 in it and have a modern day supercar that could directly compete with the modern Porsches and Ferraris of today. Although I don't see this happening anytime soon given the fate of the LSA. Watch out for 2 videos from now where we'll look at the history of the LFA, but shh, don't tell anybody. So even though the 2000 GT is not likely to happen, it would still be super cool to see. Although, with the help of Gazoo Racing, it's not completely out of the question. One other thing that would get in the way of a modern 2000 GT would be the profitability. Sports cars are really not very profitable, unless you're a huge marque that makes them almost exclusively. They take a lot of time to develop and usually have low production numbers and a very high price tag. Unless you are a flagship brand that makes nothing but sport or supercars, it truly isn't financially smart. The 2 things that counter that are marketing and the development of new technologies. If Toyota were to launch a 2000 GT, everybody would be talking about it, which in turn would put Toyota into many people's minds. This is exactly what companies want because it's free advertising. People will see the 2000 GT and think, oh dang it, I can't afford that. But the GR Yaris is something I can afford, and hey, it was made by the same people, so it's gotta be pretty cool. I'll try that one out instead. It really helps when people talk about the brand in a positive way because, like I said, it's free advertising. Anyway, it's quite unlikely for the 2000 GT to ever make a comeback, but if it did, everybody would love it, so long as they don't pull a Ford and turn it into a crossover. I would give the car overall a 9 out of 10 for the cool factor, a 2 out of 10 for plausibility, and a 2 out of 10 for profitability. Next up on this list is the Chevy Chevelle. The Chevelle was a muscle car made by Chevy to compete with cars like the Challenger and the GTO. It was a true muscle car, not quite a pony car like the Mustangs and Camaros of the time. It was made from 1964 to 1978, with the later versions being really sad due to the oil crisis. It was one of the muscle cars with a longer wheelbase and was easily one of the best looking muscle cars from the 60s. Now, a revival of this one is also quite unlikely, but with cars like the electric Dodge Charger, I feel like there is a place for an EV Chevelle. The Camaro is getting the boot in 2024, and I know that it looks like Chevy is moving in another direction, but if the new EV Charger sells well, we could definitely see a Chevy Chevelle make an appearance as an EV muscle car, although I think the Camaro will probably fit that role better given that it's Chevy's current flagship muscle car. The reaction of the car community to this would definitely be mixed. Due to the fact that EVs are already quite controversial, reviving a 60s muscle car as an EV might not go so well, especially with the older generation. But, like I said earlier, so long as it isn't a crossover called the Chevelle, I don't think that most people will be too mad about it. People have generally reacted well to the electric Challenger, so as long as Chevy follows in their footsteps, I don't see why this wouldn't work. The car could be more profitable if done right, although because Chevy would need to develop a new EV powertrain, I don't think it would be very profitable. But money isn't the only profit that matters in this case, because in developing an all-electric drivetrain, Chevy would learn a lot and would be able to take their learnings and apply them to many other cars that would sell well, including crossovers, just not named the Chevelle. The tech developed with the Chevy Chevelle would be used in many future Chevy cars, which would help Chevy profit a ton. Yes, this would be another car that they would need to work on, which I don't see them doing, but still, the possibility is still there. Plus, I think it's probably more likely we see this than a 2000 GT. I don't see a gas-powered Chevelle coming anytime soon, or an electric one for that matter, but it would still be cool. Cool factor is a 7 out of 10, plausibility is a 3.5 out of 10, and profitability is a 3 out of 10. I would give it higher for profitability, but I'm talking about the outright profitability, not just the profitability from the tech developed. Next on this list in number 3, the one I mentioned earlier, is the Lamborghini Mira. Now, yeah, the Lamborghini Mira had models of a new one made in the early 2000s, but those didn't come to fruition, they didn't ever produce it. If they were to make a production model, I think it would be really cool. Anyway, the Lamborghini Mira was what many consider the first real supercar. With its screaming V12 and gorgeous design, it really kicked off the modern supercar world. It was produced from 1966 to 1973, with around 800 of them built and probably around 400 left today. Now, I know Lamborghini made a concept of the modern Mira in the early 2000s, but why not make another one today? They did it with the Countach, so why not try it with the Mira? It would make for an excellent send-off for the V12 in a world where EVs are taking over. They would be able to pay homage to the history and have an awesome poster car. And like with the 2000 GT, it would definitely get people talking about Lamborghini. Not that they don't have enough people talking about him already. I mean, look at what the Countach did though. Everybody was talking about it. Unfortunately, I really don't think this will happen. Lamborghini has much bigger fish to fry than a low production special edition right now. They need to work on a hybrid and an EV powertrain, and the next flagship Lamborghini. Chances are that if they decide to make this, there would be less than 100 built, and they would probably all sell for 1.5 to 3 million USD. It would likely be somewhat profitable because, well, it's Lamborghini, they can sell anything. Now yeah, it's quite unlikely that Lamborghini would do something like revive the Mira, although nobody was talking about reviving the Countach, and yet, here we are. Lamborghini as a company is just kind of unpredictable sometimes, so I guess only time will tell if we get a modern day Mira. For the cool factor, I give it a 9 out of 10. This is one of my all-time favorite cars, and definitely one of the all-time best looking cars. For plausibility, I think it gets a 3 out of 10, and for profitability, it gets a 5 out of 10. Now, fourth on this list is the Dodge Ram Little Red Express. Now, imagine you live in 1978 in the US. The oil crisis is hitting hard, and you can't find a fun car anywhere. What are you gonna buy to go fast in? Your gas-guzzling Dodge Charger Daytona has a huge tax on gas, so you can't really drive that. But then, a savior comes. Dodge releases the Ram Little Red Express. With a big honkin' V8, this was America's fastest car from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 1979. A pickup truck. Yes, a pickup truck, you heard that right. It beat Ferraris to 60 and 100 for heaven's sake. This truck was the definition of awesome, and to see another example of it today would not only be awesome, but actually be quite probable. Dodge is known for making crazy cars, from the Ram TRX to the Hellcat-powered Chrysler Pacifica that they had talked about. They did not make this, but there are official Dodge renderings. And to be completely honest, if I could afford it and Dodge made it, I would buy one. Why not? To see a Ram 1500 with exhaust stacks and a Hellcat isn't unreasonable. Now, profitability-wise, it may not be the best idea, but it would probably work well enough. Just like Lamborghini, Dodge can sell almost anything. And they're known for being innovative. See the Viper, Prowler, TRX, V10-powered Ram 1500, the list goes on. So chances are they would sell well enough. This car would cost almost nothing to develop, given that they already have all the parts, so yeah, I could totally see this insane pickup hitting the market. Basically, all Dodge would have to do is slap some exhaust stacks on a TRX and give it a cool paint job, and call it a day. Anyway, for a cool factor, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. For plausibility, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. And for profitability, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's definitely super cool. I love the Ram Little Red Expresses. They're just the coolest things. Now, fifth and final on this list is the Mazda RX7. Now, I know the rotary is mostly dead, but what I also know is that Mazda is working on a range extender for EVs that happens to be a rotary motor. Do I think the RX7 will make a comeback with a rotary-only powertrain? No. Do I think it's plausible to have an EV RX7 with a range extender? Yes. It is a fun option for the brands that's slogan is literally celebrate driving. This is an option not only to make a new EV sports car and break into the market, but also an opportunity to compete with the new era of JDM cars such as the new Nissan Z and the all-new Supra. They already have a fairly good platform for the car in the MX-5. All they would need to do is widen and lengthen the frame a little bit and bam, RX-7 chassis. Now, for profitability, I think this car would be a good money maker. The Supra has been quite profitable for Toyota, and the new Z is looking like it will sell well. So, I think the newer RX-7 would be able to compete fairly well and has the opportunity to break into the EV sports car market like nobody else has done. Plus, although it is unlikely, we could very well see the return of pop-up headlights. Plus, the RX-7 has a huge fan base, so I bet a bunch of them would rather spend $35K on a new one than $50 or $60K on an old used one. But maybe not. Here's my verdict. For a cool factor, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. For plausibility, it also gets a 9 out of 10. And for profitability, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. So, thank you guys for watching today's video. This has been a fun episode to make. This is mostly just theorizing. None of it's probably actually going to happen. But if it does, please remember me. Like, it'll be cool if I predicted something like this to happen. Next week, we'll go over 5 cars being discontinued in 2024 that we're going to miss. So it's kind of the opposite of this video. So take a look at that once it comes out. Thank you guys one final time for watching. I'll see you guys next time.